Hey guys, it's me David and welcome back to another LEGO Star Wars review. Today we have the third iteration of the Ultimate Collector Series X-Wing Starfighter. The set number is 75355. It has 1,949 pieces and a retail price of $240. Pretty high on the price point. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. It's going to be launching on May 1st of 2023. It'll be during the May the 4th promotion, so there'll be a Death Star promotional set if you buy the X-Wing Starfighter during that first week of May in 2023. I'll have a link down in the description to lego.com. It's affiliated, helps out the channel if you decide to purchase the set. And with that said, let's talk about this set. So this is the third iteration of the UCS X-Wing. In fact, the X-Wing Starfighter has quite a history with UCS because it actually started this entire sub-theme in LEGO Star Wars all the way back in the year 2000. That is when the very first UCS set came out. It was the X-Wing Starfighter that was among the first sets released alongside a TIE Interceptor. And you can actually see that LEGO has a little bit of an Easter egg going on here with this box art. The way this X-Wing is set up here, and I'll put the image of the original 2000 X-Wing box art up, you'll see it's almost the exact same layout with how the X-Wing is on the box. There's even a blue glow behind this UCS X-Wing that also might be in reference to that 2000 box art, given how the X-Wing was kind of shadowed out with a blue glow, which I always thought looked really cool. So this is the third iteration. So we got one in 2000, we got one in 2013, and now we're getting a third version here in 2023. Now, personally, I have a major gripe with the prior version of the UCS X-Wing. I went back to my old review 10 years ago and looked at what I had to say.
But this was a huge pain putting the sticker on. I got it on right, however, if you look nice closely there, you can see that there's a lot of air bubbles. So I really don't understand why that wasn't a printed piece.
And I totally forgot that it had the worst sticker ever made in LEGO Star Wars. The windshield piece had a 3-piece sticker that you had to apply perfectly. And if you messed it up, it just would never look good. You'd have to order a new one from lego.com. It was just a terrible experience. Thankfully, LEGO has solved that problem with this new 2023 version by printing the windshield like it should have been printed in the 2013 version. Also, first, we're finally getting a printed UCS plaque. It is no longer a sticker, which is really exciting. We'll be talking about that here in a little bit. And then also a first for a UCS X-Wing. Prior versions never came with a physical minifigure. This time we are getting a Luke Skywalker exclusive minifigure for this set. It'll have arm printing. We're also getting an R2-D2 minifigure in this set, like the 2013 version. So with all that said, this new UCS version of the X-Wing is highly debated by the fans because of its design. I've seen a lot of people complaining about these studs on the side. Me personally, I'm probably right in the middle between fans, between that 50-50 split, because I really think these engines are throwing me personally off. They look strange to me. They look almost too big or too animated looking. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Hopefully that isn't the case once the set's built. So with that said, let's go into the in-depth and see this Ultimate Collector Series X-Wing Starfighter. So to my surprise, I found that the windshield piece is not wrapped in anything when you open the box, meaning that it's exposed to potential scratching, which is definitely disappointing. I would have loved to see this windshield piece inside a paper bag, which is just really surprising from LEGO, especially when you consider that last year's Luke's Landspeeder had a windshield wrapped in plastic. Taking a look at the stickers, thankfully there's not many in the set, just 4 of them, which is nice to see, given the fact that we are finally getting a printed UCS plaque, which is really exciting. The instruction booklet is pretty simple, but like all 18 plus sets, when you open it up, there's a full in-depth about the X-Wing as well as the development for this particular set, which is always fun to read through and take a look at the cool pictures. I also really like knowing that the original designer for the 2000 X-Wing is the same one working on this one. I believe he also worked on the 2013 version as well. There's also a page showing how to properly hold the X-Wing, which I'm kind of confused about with these pictures because he's holding it by the wings. So now making our way onto the set. First off, I have to say I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It looks strange on the box, but now that I've built it in person, my general impression is this is better than expected. And trust me, I'm going to explain why I think that over the next 10 plus minutes. So there's a lot to go through here, but first, let's take a look at the brand new and exclusive minifigure to the set, Luke Skywalker. Of course, Luke comes with his blue lightsaber blade, and taking a closer look at the figure, you'll notice that he has arm printing as well as dual molded legs, which looks absolutely fantastic. All around, this figure looks really good. By far the best Luke Skywalker in the orange getup that we have ever seen before, and of course a double-sided head print. Overall, 10 out of 10 figure here. As for R2-D2, I am pleased to say that he does have double-sided printing. This is the same R2-D2 that you can find in the trash compactor diorama. Next up is a first for the Ultimate Collector series, printed plaques. Fans have been wanting this for so many years now, myself included, and I have to say the printing is perfect. It's exactly what I would expect. It looks better in my opinion than a sticker like previous versions, and it's so nice that going forward we'll be getting printed plaques. The stand for the X-Wing is relatively simple and is only in one set position. On the bottom, you'll notice there's a little area that you can stand up Luke Skywalker, which is nice. He does look a little awkward kind of standing in front of the plaque, but it works. As for R2-D2, you can position him inside the X-Wing, which looks a little strange. He looks a little too small for the set. Now, even though the stand is set in one particular position, it's actually designed so that you can turn the X-Wing itself to get different angles, which I really think is cool. So there's 4 potential angles that you can do with your X-Wing. So if you don't like a particular one, you can try a different one and really kind of arrange it the way you want, which I really like that ability and customization with my UCS set. So I think there's a better angle here, which is this side position. It actually makes the wing just barely hover over the ground, which is like so satisfying. It looks really, really good. Underneath the X-Wing, you'll find an inverted tile, but mostly just anti-studs, which doesn't look great, but you really don't see that much of it. So it's acceptable, I suppose, but I would have preferred more inverted tiles. Next, we have the one main function of this set, which is opening the X-foils into attack position. In order to do this, you just simply turn a knob on the top side until the X-foils lock into place. You heard that right, they lock into place, which is really satisfying. In terms of how this functionality works, it's actually not using many Technic pieces. In fact, there's barely any Technic in this set overall, which is really impressive. You can see this is a mostly brick-built design, which I have to give props to the designer for. So I actually found a flaw with the UCS X-Wing. If you put pressure on the model itself, you'll see that these 2 slope pieces will come flying off the stand. Now this is not a fatal flaw, it's not going to cause really many issues, but it's worth noting. And I brought it up with the LEGO Star Wars design team, and they did indeed confirm that this is a flaw with the set, and they will have a fix for it without the need of extra pieces, so hopefully that'll come soon. Next, we have the interior of this X-Wing, specifically the cockpit, and as you can see here, there's a big sticker on a 4x4 tile, as well as a movable targeting computer, which is very satisfying to move up and down. There's also like a joystick type of controller for the X-Wing itself, as well as another sticker control panel piece. And while the set's not meant for this, you can indeed put the Luke Skywalker minifigure in the cockpit, which just looks really funny to me in my opinion. I kind of enjoy this actually, even though it's not accurate. I'm happy to also say that this windshield piece on the UCS X-Wing is now printed. No longer is it a sticker like the previous 2013 version. It looks really good. It works very well with the design. However, I think a new mold would have been really cool and unique for this set. Moving on to those engines, they look a little strange to me, and now that I've built the set, they look better, but they still seem just maybe a tiny bit too big. As for the little details or greebling on the X-Wing, as you can see, I think the details are done well. They're not too complicated, not too simple. I think it's about the right balance and works with the overall flow of the model. I also like the inclusion of the LEGO controller piece that minifigures use on the very bottom side here on the back. As for the design of the wings, they're fully brick built, utilizing some angled tiles to get those little details, which I really like. The previous 2013 UCS X-Wing utilized stickers here, and I think the brick built version looks much better. As for the laser cannons, they also use some great techniques and design work here. What especially stands out is the very edge of the laser cannons, utilizing these little LEGO minifigure flipper pieces, which look really good. It just adds that little bit of extra detail required for a UCS set. Unfortunately, there is a small gap between these Technic pieces here, which I asked LEGO about, and they said it's just a part of the set and is there for friction purposes, but oh man, it is just a little too big of a gap for me personally. On the opposite side of the wings, you'll find some inverted tiles and just a few stickers, nothing too crazy. On the back side of the UCS X-Wing, I especially really like the look of the model from this angle. Taking a closer look at those engine thrusters,
I also have to say that this is a similar design to the 2013 version, but that's okay. I think it still works very well on this newer 2023 version. And then, of course, from just different angles, I think this set can look really good. I know a lot of people were thrown off by the design, but when we start to look closer, especially at this nose area, which definitely has had probably some of the biggest flack of the UCS X-Wing, there's actually more than meets the eye with this particular section. So if we remove that nose piece, you'll see here that it's actually doing not just double duty, but quadruple duty, holding 4 different panel sections of the body together, utilizing a technique that I've never seen be done on a UCS set. This is definitely highlighting what makes this set different than the prior versions. So I've seen a lot of fans online be really split about the design of this X-Wing. And personally, now that I've seen it, now that I've built it, it is a lot different than what the box or images on Lego.com really show this X-Wing. Especially at this angle, I think it looks really good, especially when we're going to compare it to the 2013 version. I think that's going to shock you guys in just a few minutes. I love how you can pretty much look at any angle with this X-Wing and it looks exactly what I think an X-Wing should look like. Yes, the engines look a little too big. I think the wings could have been a little bit longer to alleviate that purpose. Yes, the nose should have been a little sharper, but honestly, given that it's holding all of those panels together, I understand the design choices here. As for underneath the X-Wing, a lot of people don't really see this area, so I think the fact that we are getting at least a few inverted tiles is a step up from the previous version. Now, for me personally, I really like this set far more than I had anticipated. I was kind of ready to write this set off and just say, okay, it's a new iteration, nothing really special about it. The design seems weird, yada, yada, yada. But now that I've played around with it, now that I've swooshed it around the room, it is far better than I had anticipated. It is a fun set to play with, it's a fun set to display with, and you're getting those great minifigures and improved printed pieces, which is all very satisfying. Next is honestly the biggest shock for me personally, comparing the 2023 UCS X-Wing versus the 2013 version. This is a starkingly big difference, and in my personal opinion, I think the newer 2023 version looks significantly better, especially when we're looking at the body, the engines, and just the overall look. The old one now just looks too skinny, almost it looks disproportionate, way more than I had ever thought it was now that we have this newer version. I mean, at the end of the day, both look like X-Wings. So if you have the 2013 version, it doesn't look bad per se, but when comparing the newer version, I would have to say the 2023 edition is far more accurate, far more bigger, in fact, especially in terms of the body area. That is definitely where those extra 500 pieces are going, in my opinion, as well as the wings. There's just a lot more detail, and overall shaping here is much better on the 2023 version. So I feel like there is a warranted price increase given that the overall shape is much more accurate, especially from this angle. You can see that the old version has much more warping in the wings compared to the new version, is able to hold those wings up further because of those bigger engines. And then, of course, there's the fact that there is that terrible sticker windshield versus the newly printed windshield. And then when we're taking a look at the stands, of course, now we're getting a printed plaque versus the sticker in the previous version. Now, that's just one set to compare it to. Here's the UCS A-Wing next to the 2023 UCS X-Wing, and I have to say these two sets look really good side by side. It's the same case with the 2018 or 2017 UCS Y-Wing. I think that also looks really good next to this newer X-Wing. And then lastly, we have last year's Luke's Landspeeder, which is also a $240 set still on sale, and I feel like there's a big size difference there. And as an added bonus, here's the UCS gunship versus the X-Wing Starfighter. Personally, I think both look really good next to each other, better than I had anticipated. And that's really the story with the UCS X-Wing.
All right, so I have a lot of thoughts on this new version of the UCS X-Wing. Personally, now that I've built it and pretty much viewed it from every single angle, I like it a lot more than I thought I would. I really do. And I'm being super honest saying that, guys. I realize that probably half of you out there dislike this model, think the proportions are off, think it just looks overall bad compared to previous models. And I totally get that. I myself thought it looked very strange, especially based off the images that they have on Lego.com. Now keep in mind those images, except for the lifestyle images, are 3D renders, and so they always will have a certain look to them. When you build the set in person, when you physically see the model, it's it's different. It just is. You have real lighting on it. You can see it from different angles. Your eyes have a different perspective than what the computer sees. And so personally, I think it looks good. But that's not to say that there still is some inaccuracies with this model. Particularly the nose here is too wide. It should come to a sharper point based on the scaled model I was looking at online. And then also, I really think the wings could have been maybe 1-2 studs longer, and that would have maybe made these bigger looking engines less strange looking. I think that is part of the reason why a lot of people are getting thrown off by the design. I've seen people complain about this body here, but personally, I think this is really well done. I think Lego could have done a brand new windshield piece. They could have made it smaller, a little more sleek looking. Instead, they decided to reuse the same one from the 2013 model, which still works. But again, taking a look at like what they actually used in A New Hope, the actual windshield is much shorter, much tighter. And so I think Lego could have developed a new mold for that, just like they did last year for Luke's land speeder. They could have done a new windshield piece for this set, but they decided not to. At least it's printed, and I still think it works, but it's not perfect. As for the R2-D2 here, I think they could have also gotten away with a bigger, maybe a 3x3 type of piece of R2-D2's head. The figure still works. It still looks a little strange because it is pretty tiny on the model, but it does work. It doesn't look that bad in person. I think the biggest highlights is obviously the printed windshield, but also the printed plaque and that brand new Luke Skywalker minifigure. Like all of that makes this automatically, in my opinion, better than the 2013 version. I would not recommend to anybody out there to buy that 2013 version because it goes for about $400 to $500 sealed. That's not worth it to me if you can buy this one for $240. Now, coming back to that question, is this set even worth $240? Personally, if you look at the 2013 version of the set that had 1,500 pieces and it had a retail price of $200, that was 10 years ago. Here we are 10 years in the future. This set has almost 2,000 pieces, so almost about a 500 piece count increase, and the price also went up to $240. So with that in mind, and the fact that you're getting a minifigure this time, a really great minifigure, and printed elements like the windshield and the printed plaque, I think the $240 price tag is warranted for this set. The way I see this UCS X-Wing is if you haven't purchased a 2013 version and you're interested in the X-Wing, which I feel like a lot of people are given how iconic it is a very well-built model. It doesn't use much Technic at all, which is very impressive given the previous version used a good amount of Technic for especially the X-foil mechanism, opening up the wings. But obviously, there still is details missing. There is a gap between these wings when it's closed, which I definitely can understand fans, complaining about this. I would really like this to be flush, which is weird because when you kind of take the set off and put just gravity on the set, the wings do kind of come to a full and complete close. And then also, when having the X-Wing like this, I would have really appreciated landing gear. I think that's another thing that's missing on this set is having landing gear, because you do see the X-Wing in landed position a good amount actually in the Star Wars movies. So that would have also been really cool to have the option to use the stand or not use it and have it in a landed mode. That would have been really cool. But I mean, it's nice that you can sit the model down. I don't know if I really recommend doing this. I don't think the designers probably would recommend y'all doing this, but you can, which is kind of neat. And then there's also the fact that there is this little tiny gap here with these Technic pieces. Like, that bothers me. It really does. I wish that wasn't a thing. I think a new piece maybe would have fixed that. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a minor thing, but it does bother me, especially for the fact that this is a $240 premium 18+ adult set. It's also worth noting that if you purchase this X-Wing during its release of the first week of May, so it comes out on May 1st, and if you buy it between May 1st to May 7th, you can get that Death Star 2 promo for $150 threshold, which this obviously meets. Now, those promo sets tend to go up in value pretty quickly, so that could be like an $80 to $100 set that you could sell and offset a lot of the cost of this X-Wing. So that is an option if you want to buy this in its first week of release. Obviously, if you're watching this review later, that promotion has gone away. And so again, you're going back to that $240 price, which even at $240 with no promotions, I still think is fair considering what you're getting here. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of opinions about this set. You know, I understand why they made this nose wider. It literally is holding all of this in place here. There is technical design reasons for certain things, I'm sure. But regardless, you know, it's your money. It's up to you guys whether you think this model looks good. If you do, I don't think you're going to go wrong with this set. If you don't, obviously there's a lot of other UCS sets that are available, and there's some pretty great rumored ones coming out later this year as well. So keep your money, spend your money. It's up to you. I just think it is a better than expected UCS set for 2023. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Links will be down in the description if you decide to purchase this set on Lego.com's affiliate. It helps out the channel. Hope you guys have a great, wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.